two elite snipers, two isolated towers, and between them, a gorge that doesn't officially exist. Levi Kane is sent to one of the most isolated places on Earth, with almost no explanation. His orders seem simple: watch the gorge, protect the tower, and make sure that whatever is living below never gets out. Across the enormous abyss stands another tower, and inside it is Drasa, another sniper, another stranger who has been given the same mysterious mission. They're forbidden from communicating, but isolation has a strange way of bringing people together. Soon, Levi and Drasa begin talking across the gorge. Then something unexpected happens. They fall for each other, but neither of them understands what they're actually guarding, because deep beneath their towers is the remains of an experiment that should never have existed. And once Levi falls into the gorge, the truth finally begins to surface. This is the complete story of the Gorge. Our story begins with Levi Kane. Levi is a highly skilled former US Marine Scout sniper. He's extremely good at killing from a distance, but emotionally, he's almost completely isolated. Years of violence have left him carrying memories he can't easily escape. He lives alone. He keeps people at a distance. And when he's offered another secret assignment, there isn't much in his life stopping him from accepting it. The mission is unusual from the beginning. Levi is transported to an undisclosed location. He isn't told exactly where he's going. He isn't given the full history of the operation. Instead, he's taken toward an enormous gorge hidden far from civilization. And there, he discovers a lonely watchtower. This will be his home for the next year. The man currently guarding the tower is JD. And before leaving, JD explains the rules. The gorge is surrounded by powerful cloaking technology. The outside world isn't supposed to know this place exists. Automated weapons have been positioned around the perimeter. The tower also contains weapons capable of dealing with anything that tries to climb out. And that last detail immediately raises a question. Why would something be trying to climb out? Levi learns that strange creatures live somewhere inside the gorge. The guards call them the Hollow Men. No one has given Levi a complete explanation of what they are, and apparently, knowing isn't part of his job. His job is simply to keep them inside. Then Levi learns something else. There is another tower, directly across the gorge, the East Tower. Someone else is stationed there. But communication between the two towers is forbidden. The guards are supposed to remain completely separated. JD finishes his assignment and leaves, and suddenly, Levi is alone. But Levi isn't actually alone. Across the enormous gap is Drasa, a Lithuanian sniper stationed in the East Tower. Like Levi, she's highly trained, dangerous, independent, and very good at her job. At first, they simply observe each other. Two tiny figures separated by an abyss. No radio communication, no visits, no ordinary conversation. But eventually, curiosity wins. They begin communicating visually. Signs, messages, binoculars, simple games. Little by little, the enormous distance between the towers starts feeling smaller. For two people whose lives revolve around violence and isolation, this strange relationship gives them something neither expected: company. They start learning about each other. They joke. They flirt. They play chess from opposite sides of the gorge. And eventually, the relationship becomes something much more personal, but the gorge never allows them to forget why they're there. One night, the sensors detect movement. Something is climbing upward. Levi prepares his weapons, and then he sees them. The Hollow Men. They don't look like ordinary human beings. They appear twisted, mutated, almost as if human bodies and the environment have somehow grown together. They climb toward the surface in large numbers. Levi opens fire. Across the gorge, Drasa does the same. The automated defenses activate. Explosions light up the darkness. The two snipers work from opposite towers, killing the creatures before they can escape. Eventually, the attack stops. The gorge becomes quiet again. But Levi now understands something important. The stories were true. There really is something down there. And whatever it is, it was once much closer to human than he expected. While Levi attempts to cross back, the situation becomes unstable. The gorge that they've spent months watching suddenly becomes the place Levi is desperately trying not to enter. He falls. Drasa watches helplessly as Levi disappears into the darkness below. From the surface, there seems to be almost no chance that he survived, but Drasa refuses to abandon him. Against every rule of the mission, she goes after him. Levi survives the fall, but the world beneath the towers is unlike anything he imagined. The gorge isn't simply a deep valley filled with monsters. It's an entire ecosystem. Plants, animals, human remains. Everything appears corrupted. Different forms of life seem to have merged together in disturbing ways. This explains the appearance of the Hollow Men. They're not supernatural demons. Something happened here. Something changed the biology of everything trapped inside. And now, Levi is trapped there too. When Drasa eventually reaches him, the two snipers are finally together again. But getting into the gorge was only the beginning. Now they have to survive long enough to find a way out. As Levi and Drasa move deeper into the gorge, they encounter increasingly dangerous creatures. Some appear partly human, others look like combinations of different organisms. The environment itself feels hostile. The deeper they travel, the clearer it becomes that this place isn't natural. Then they discover something that changes everything. Old structures, equipment, evidence of human activity. This gorge wasn't simply discovered and contained. People were working here, the laboratory. Eventually, Levi and Drasa find the remains of an old laboratory. And inside, they begin uncovering the real history of the gorge. During the Second World War, this area was connected to secret biological research. The goal was to develop biological weapons. But something went catastrophically wrong. An earthquake damaged the facility. Dangerous biological material escaped, and instead of producing a controllable weapon, the contamination began changing the ecosystem. Plants, animals, people, different forms of DNA became mixed and mutated. Over decades, the gorge transformed into the nightmare Levi and Drasa are now seeing. The Hollow Men aren't mysterious invaders from another world. They're products of what happened here. Human beings helped create this place. The biggest secret, but there's another problem. The operation didn't simply exist to prevent monsters from escaping. The gorge itself contains biological information of enormous value. The mutations created inside it could potentially be studied, weaponized, and sold. And that means the people controlling the operation have a reason to keep the gorge alive. Levi and Drasa realize they're not merely guards. They're protecting an asset, a secret worth an unimaginable amount of money. And if they now know too much, they've become part of the problem. Escape Levi and Drasa begin searching for a way back to the surface. But the gorge fights them at every step. Creatures attack. The environment becomes increasingly dangerous. They use their training and weapons to survive. Eventually, they manage to climb their way toward freedom. After everything they've seen below, the towers that once felt like prisons now represent safety. Finally, they escape. But reaching the surface doesn't mean they're safe, because someone else has been watching. Darklake, Levi's mission, was connected to a powerful organization called Darklake, and Darklake cannot allow the truth about the Gorge to become public. Levi and Drasa now know what happened there. They know what the Hollow Men really are. They know about the biological research, and they know why the operation continues. That makes them dangerous witnesses. The people behind the mission begin moving against them. Levi realizes there's only one way to make sure the secret can never be exploited again. The Gorge has to disappear, completely. Straydog. The towers contain a final emergency system, a failsafe. Its purpose is simple. If containment becomes impossible, destroy everything. The system is known as Straydog. Levi and Drasa decide to activate it, but doing so means destroying the entire Gorge, the laboratory, the creatures, the biological material, everything Darklake has been protecting. Once activated, there's no going back. Levi and Drasa race to escape the area, and behind them, the Gorge begins to die. A massive chain of destruction tears through the facility. Explosions consume the landscape. The secret that survived for decades is finally buried. But Darklake isn't finished. Bartholomew, the woman overseeing the operation, realizes what Levi and Drasa have done. The asset is gone. Years of secrecy and research have disappeared, and the two people responsible are still alive. A confrontation follows. Levi uses the same skills that made him valuable in the first place. The hunter becomes the hunted, and eventually, Bartholomew is eliminated. For the first time since arriving at the Gorge, Levi and Drasa are truly free, or at least, almost. The promise. Before everything went wrong, Levi and Drasa had talked about what they might do if they ever escaped this strange assignment. They had imagined meeting again, somewhere normal, somewhere without towers, without rifles, without monsters, without an abyss separating them. France, a place where they could finally discover whether their relationship could exist outside the Gorge. After the destruction, however, they become separated, and for a while, neither knows whether the other survived. Time passes. Then, in a quiet town in France, Drasa waits. The world around her is completely ordinary. People walk through the streets. Life continues. No alarms, no hollow men, no secret towers. Then, she sees someone approaching. Levi. He's alive. After everything they survived, they found each other again. The ending explained. And this is where the title, The Gorge, takes on another meaning. Throughout the movie, Levi and Drasa are separated by a literal gorge. Two lonely people standing on opposite sides of an enormous divide. But emotionally, they've spent much of their lives living the same way. Isolated, disconnected, unable to build ordinary relationships because of the lives they've chosen. The Gorge isn't only the monster-filled place beneath them, it represents the distance between them